dolphin house experiment was an absolutely insane and messed up attempt to try to speak and communicate with dolphins. This guy, John Lilly, thought that he could literally teach dolphins to speak English, and he got funding from NASA to build a huge villa on the island of St. Thomas and got 3 dolphins for the experiments: Peter, Pamela, and Sissy. The 3 of them were from Marine Studios and had been in the movie Flipper. After a while, 22-year-old Margaret Howe showed up at the house wanting to work with the dolphins. She was supposed to encourage the dolphins to mimic human speech, and she started focusing on Peter because he hadn't had any training on mimicking human sounds. She would be like, 1, 2, 3, and Peter would be like, Peter was making some sort of progress, but the work stalled out. Margaret was like, well, we leave every night, and that's a lot of interaction and observation we're missing out on. She proposed that they plaster everything on the top floor and flood it with waist-high water, and she would live up there with Peter. Lily was super into the idea, and over the next months, Margaret stayed in the flooded upper story of the house. She had a desk hanging from the ceiling and had a telephone and a stove and slept on a foam mattress. Meanwhile, Lily started getting really into psychedelics. He was like a full-blown hippie guru guy, and he had a bunch of celebrity friends like Jeff Bridges. Back at the house, Peter was getting really randy and rubbing on Margaret and not paying attention to her lessons anymore. So Margaret started giving him handies so they could get back to focusing on the lessons. She said it was easier to just incorporate that and let it happen, and that's a longer quote if you want to pause. Lily, obsessed with acid, decided he was going to inject the dolphins with it. He thought that if he took some and injected the dolphins with it, then both their minds would be more open and ready for communication. To her credit, Margaret was like, fuck that, and wouldn't let him inject Peter. So while they were upstairs, he went downstairs and injected Pam and Sissy with 200 micrograms apiece. Motherfucker even took a jackhammer to the side of their tank to try to get a reaction out of them while they were dosed. Soon their funding was cut and the dolphins were moved to small chlorine tanks in Florida, and Peter unalived himself. Dolphins have to consciously think to breathe, so Peter just sank to the bottom and held his breath till he was gone.